When Shigeru Miyamoto mentioned that Pikmin 4 was in development and was in fact very close to completion, fans of the series rejoiced. However, that was back in 2015, and the game then seemed to disappear into the ether with very few updates or announcements made after that. That was until it was shown at a Nintendo Direct back in 2022, and it's now here on the Nintendo Switch. Has it been plucked from obscurity to grow into something special, or was 8 years of watering still not enough? I'm Glen Bolger, thank you to Nintendo for the review code, and now let's find out. The story begins with series protagonist Captain Olimar out on an adventure when again he needs the help of the Pikmin characters to find the pieces of his ship. Whilst trying to obtain the final piece, he gets into trouble and sends an SOS. This is picked up by the rescue corps, who head towards the coordinates only to experience issues themselves and crash land. You play as one of the crew with an avatar of your own creation, as you must find your crewmates, find Captain Olimar, and also use the Pikmin creatures mentioned in Olimar's notes to garner as many of the treasures found on the planet to extract a material called sparklium and power your ship back up to get home. So let's very quickly go over the basic gameplay loop for all of the Pikmin games for the uninitiated before moving on to the changes made for this new game. Your protagonist will use the titular Pikmin characters in order to pick up and carry the necessary large items that they require to complete their mission and bring them back to the ship. There are a number of different Pikmin types, each with their own colour and abilities, and you'll need to use these strategically to overcome a number of environmental puzzles or large enemies to get the aforementioned items to where they need to be. You can create more Pikmin by bringing fallen enemies or numbered pucks back to their ship, named the Onion, which will then cultivate seeds, and plucking these from the ground will result in further Pikmin joining your cause. New areas open up as you play, which bring their own challenges as you continue on your quest for the items. It's basically the most charming real-time strategy game you'll ever play. This basic premise remains for the 4th version, and anyone that has played a previous game in the series will feel right at home due to this. However, that's not to say that new mechanics haven't been added for this 4th entry, as they most certainly have, and we'll run through a few of these now. So first and foremost, the items that you are looking for have no real theme this time, such as the fruit in the 3rd game, and are more like the everyday items seen as treasures in Pikmin 2. The difference here though is that every one of these treasures has a value for the aforementioned sparklium attributed to it, and as the game goes on, you will be working towards a set amount of sparklium in order to open new areas and ultimately power your ship to get home. You also have the crew members to find as well as Captain Olimar, but there are also a large number of castaway characters who have been stranded on the planet and need rescuing. These are shown as objectives within your tablet, accessed by pressing the plus button, and you can pin objectives to the screen, plus the game's hub area has characters that may give you additional side quests. There are new Pikmin, with the first being an ice type that you'll encounter early on. When attacking enemies, these can freeze them in place, making defeating them easier, but seeing them shatter on defeat rather than leaving a body behind to be cultivated into new seeds. It's a clever way of adding something very useful without making it completely overpowered. As well as this new Pikmin type, you also have the dog companion called Oichi, shown in the trailers, who has the strength of several Pikmin and can be put to work in a similar way. He can also be trained to learn new skills, such as being able to swim with the Pikmin safely on his back, or you can improve his strength and agility. Again, another nice new feature that changes the way veterans of the series may approach things. You can now rewind time if you suffer a heavy loss of Pikmin. In past games you would have either had to suffer the loss or restart the whole day, losing any progress. A double-edged sword for me this one, as it does lessen the emotional impact of such a decision, but its use is completely optional, so it's a good inclusion from an accessibility point of view. You have the underground cave systems, again like a few of these, not completely new features as these were fairly prominent in part 2 especially, but they are a large part of the gameplay here. They contain a lot of the sparklium infused items, some of the stranded characters, as well as raw materials that can be converted to clay to build bridges or used to buy upgrades in the hub area, and these have more of a puzzle oriented layout compared to the overhead sections. Each cave has a number of sub-levels to complete, and time moves much slower when in these areas, so you won't need to worry about the usual day cycle and the rush to get back before sunset. Talking of sunset, and the last new feature that I'm going to highlight are the night expeditions, which are unlocked after a while and play almost like basic tower defense levels. You must defend a core building from enraged enemies using the other new Pikmin type, Glow Pikmin, in order to extract a substance that can be used to revive the stranded characters when found. There are others, and I was incredibly surprised by just how many new mechanics had been added here, bringing a freshness to the series whilst keeping that core gameplay loop as familiar as ever. Some of the elements added did not fare as well as others, and I'll go over these in a minute, and I do also feel that the game takes a while to get going owing to a bit of early game handholding. One of my biggest criticisms is the full campaign co-op mode found in Part 3 Deluxe has been removed and instead replaced by an assist system where player 2 can basically throw pebbles at enemies and items at your clan. Pikmin 3's story had extra characters within your team that did lend itself to a full co-op campaign, but there are so many extra characters in the hub area here that surely one of them could have doubled up as a player 2 avatar. There is the Dandori mode, which can be played in co-op or competitively, and this sees you planning out a route to try and get as many treasures as possible within a time limit, and this is good fun to be fair, but the lack of a proper campaign co-op is a miss. One thing that I must also mention is the increased number of items that are here to find. There are a huge amount per level, especially when factoring in the ones found in the cave systems too. Now for me, Pikmin is at its best when it has fewer items to find, but they take a day's worth of recon beforehand as you plotted your best route back to your ship, sometimes having to replay days completely as you didn't make the best use of your time. Here there is no real urgency and you stumble across new items hand over fist. This isn't a criticism, it's a natural evolution of the series in much the same way that Mario Odyssey, for example, increased the number of moons compared to, say, the stars of Super Mario 64. It just means, as was the case with those Mario games I mentioned, a part of the gameplay that I liked particularly has had to change as a result. I liked the use of fewer items as it added gravitas to just what a monumental task was at hand, and the change here I feel has lowered the difficulty as a result, though not to a level where it is a huge issue. Newcomers won't give this a second thought, it's just something that struck me as a long-term fan of the series, and I thought I'd mention for other people of a similar mindset to me. In terms of controls, the left and right sticks do a good job of allowing you to move your character and the camera, with L and R allowing you to cycle through your Pikmin types, and there are also a few shortcut buttons available and a radial wheel for some commands. Bizarrely, the gyro function that allowed you to use the right joycon as a pointer in Pikmin 3 Deluxe has been removed, and instead there is some limited motion control in regards to being able to move your cursor when standing still to improve accuracy, or you can hold down A whilst walking to activate motion controls, but this in particular felt very awkward to me and wasn't really a viable option. Apparently this is also how motion controls were handled in the 1 and 2 releases that we've recently had on Switch, games I've played to death but never on this particular console, so I can't comment, but for me 3 Deluxe got it absolutely spot on and I don't really understand the change. Gameplay has the classic feel that makes this series so well loved, but also adds a generous number of new features. Some works better than others and a few of the bits stripped out do feel like a bit of a step back, but it's still a huge amount of fun and gameplay scores 18 out of 20. Controls work well with button shortcuts and command wheels keeping things flowing, but the removal of full gyro controls is a bit baffling and they get 16 out of 20. When it comes to the visuals, the Pikmin series has always had a fantastic knack of brilliantly conveying the normal sized world on a huge scale to smaller characters. Pikmin 4 is no exception here, with some truly beautiful settings, and I particularly liked the seaside level, complete with huge sandcastle to navigate and a tide that goes out midway through the day. The treasures are all well-known items ranging from fruits to bubble blowers and dice to Nintendo's very own portable gaming systems, and they all look great, adding a huge amount of charm to the game. Cave areas have some nice variety with a few themed areas such as fire or water, but the stars of the show are the characters. The Pikmin themselves of course look great with so many different types now, each with their own features. Oichi is a cute addition and the enemies are a weird and wonderful bunch. I experienced no performance issues at all whilst playing, with my time fairly evenly split between handheld and on-screen play. Audio wise, a lot of the themes from the previous games make a return, and the new tunes have that same whimsical feel to them, which means it all blends together very well. Music is used much more sparingly during the cave sections, with ambient sounds more prevalent here, and sometimes these sections were a bit too quiet for me, Perhaps they could have done with something a little more eerie or ominous, just to counterbalance against the main themes from the surface level, but on the whole it all helps to contribute to a pretty magical world. Visuals are bright and clean, and the stages feel like places ripe for exploration. They get 19 out of 20. Audio assists the gameplay and adds to the overall aesthetic and gets 18 out of 20. Pikmin 4 costs £49.99 and regional equivalents are on your screen now. This is standard Nintendo first party pricing, and at this price you are getting the typical Nintendo seal of quality in terms of a very high level of polish, whimsical and charming gameplay, and in this case a well-worn gameplay loop that has had enough added to it to make it feel fresh and make that 10-year wait between parts 3 and 4 feel worth it. The campaign will take most people anywhere between 15 to 20 hours on a first playthrough, and depending on how much of a completionist you are and how adamant you are that you won't lose any Pikmin, of course the hours could be extended way beyond this, and the Dandori mode is good fun and will perhaps be a party game of choice for some for many years to come. The lack of full gyro pointer controls and a full campaign co-op does hurt it a little here, and on the whole, value gets 18 out of 20. To conclude, it has definitely been a long wait for Pikmin 4, and at times it felt as if it would never come at all, and many would have been happy for more of the same. This is that to an extent, but as I said, I am pleasantly surprised by how many new features have been added to this 4th entry, with the majority of them improving the overall gameplay and refining what was there before. A few odd changes in terms of things that have been stripped out do make this feel like a step back, but there are many more steps forward to be fair, and it's lovely to see the Pikmin series going strong over 20 years since the first game released on the GameCube. Pikmin 4 gets a SwitchUp score of 89%. So there you have it, there's our score for Pikmin 4. Please do let us know what you think of the game. Have you picked it up? Are you enjoying it? Let us know in the comment section below. Please do remember to like the video if you did enjoy it, as it does help the channel, and don't forget, if you are looking to buy eShop credit to pick up this game, or any other game of course for that matter, you can do so via our website switchup.gg. Doing so will get you 5% back in cash back on your purchase price via our SwitchUp tokens, which you can then use against a future purchase of course, and until the end of July you can also get a further 5% off in straight discount by using the code SwitchUp. There's also a link down there to Play Asia if you're looking to import any games. Use the link, use the code stated, and you'll get yourself 5% off of your order from there too. A quick thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.